that is going to take you to Jersey Shore.
Show me what you're crying for. I'll wipe your tears on up. If you're so taking love, we'll come for you for sure. If we're caught in a wave, I will carry you over. It don't matter where you are, I'll run to your front door. When my head goes in different directions, you know my heart's never on the move. And in the dark times, you don't have to question. Find my heart where we are. You could put an ocean between our love. It won't keep us apart. You could build a wall and run it up, just to get to your heart. If we're caught in a wave, maybe we'll make a way. You could put an ocean between our love. It won't keep us apart. You could build a wall. It won't keep us apart. You could build a shadows play on idle hands. I lose myself if I do, but I find my way to velvet change. I'll crash right into you. If we're caught in a wave, I will carry you over. It don't matter where we are, you're still the one I choose. When my head goes in different directions, you know my heart's never on the move. And in the dark times, you don't have to question. Find my heart where we are. You could put an ocean between our love. It won't keep us apart. You could build a wall and run it up, just to get to your heart. If we're caught in a wave, maybe we'll make a way. You could put an ocean between our love. It won't keep us apart. You could build a wall. It won't keep us apart. You could build a you could build a keep us apart.
Hello. What's going on, everybody? And welcome to another edition of In My Opinion with me, Pro. And you guys already know the deal. It's Tuesday, which means it's Opinion Day. And as the title suggests here, we got we got a familiar face from the Dumb Marks podcast. So let's just get it started with and have everybody welcome Steve from the Dumb Marks podcast. What's going on, Steve? Let me change this.
Hey
friggin' graphic.
everybody! Oh, there we
What's going
go.
on? There we
There
go.
we go.
Now it's
Setting
on.
up the
No,
ring. Setting up the ring.
Yeah, fucking somebody ring the fucking bell because it's on. Me and you, We got a lot
Well,
to talk about, bro.
Well, you graciously joined the show on Saturday. Thank you as always for tuning in and checking us out. But you called me out and asked for the smoke, and I said, Ed,
I
you
said,
said
pull
pull
up.
up, and I pulled up.
Here he
You
is.
know, here I am on the digital platform, ready to go at it. I did a little warm up. You know, got a couple rounds of sparring in earlier today. Not really, but you know, I'm open to go into a cordial debate. You know,
Mm,
and see where it goes.
mm,
But
very, very cordial. Yeah.
uh,
Like I said, man, we don't want Skip Bayless and Shannon today. We
no,
don't
I
want
don't.
any
I don't need.
personal shots.
I don't need you telling me to put my glasses back on, and I'm not going to tell you to put your glasses back on. So we'll, you know, we can respectfully disagree.
Yeah.
But yeah, no,
Yeah.
I'm here. I got my political speech already typed out. Ready to read it off the teleprompter
Well,
if you'd like.
okay. Well, before we get started, hold on, man. Hold on. Before we get started, it's getting hot in here. So,
This guy.
let's get started. I'm all good now.
So the genesis of the beef, so to speak, right, is the quote unquote CM Punk bashing that you claim I say on a regular basis.
It's every day.
No. Hey, listen, I was even nice, and you know, since you say all we do is bash AEW, I even, you know, I got a little Malachi Black shirt on under here for House of Black, under the hoodie, you know, the Dunmarks hoodie to be in your good graces there. But look, well, let me flip the script and ask you a question first. Why do you love him so much?
I'll tell you what, man. You want to get personal now? Why do I love
because
him?
the how do I want to say it? The constant support and unwavering love and devotion to CM Punk from his fan base is arguably one of the strongest connections a wrestler has had with an audience. But yet nobody that I've talked to can really give me like why. What is it about Punk that there's just this automatic love and willing to ride or die on any hill that he stands on? That just
I think to me, he represented rebelliousness in my eyes. To me, he was saying things that everybody was trying to say back in his WWE days. And to me, it goes deeper than that, because I was going through a rough time during, you know, growing up and shit. And he was like, you know, trying to stand up for yourself. And like, he was the main role model for me to go ahead and do that. Like, he stood up
so
for what he believed in, and that's why I like him so much. He doesn't fuck around, and he's, to this day, you know, even during the media scrum. Yeah, what he said was, some of what he said was out of pocket, but he stayed true to who he is, and he says what's on his mind. And that's what
so the age range with Punk's run for you, what how old? Like, are you like 5'6", you know, Hulkamaniac, say your prayers, eat your vitamins young, or are you like the 13, 14-year-old going through stuff at home at school? Like what age?
I was about
typically?
15, 16.
Okay. So yeah, all right. I can't knock you for that. I could definitely see how that particular messaging at that time could gravitate and have you fall in love with the character or respect the man, and find qualities in him for what he said and did that maybe you or whoever weren't able to do for themselves during a particular time in their life. Like that's completely understandable. So I get the now I get more of
It's
the
deeper.
line connecting you and him than more than just it's just a fan. And I think what you said there resonates with a lot of CM Punk fans. Um, Based off of that, voice of the voiceless message that he was touting during that time, and not just on a wrestling basis, but like what he stood for outside of wrestling with the straight edge stuff and all of that. To me, I was just never. He never grabbed me from any of that standpoint. Now it's probably a little bit. How old are you now?
Ooh, 29.
Okay. So yeah, all right. We're on two different wavelengths here. So
Oh God.
I got 10 years. I got 10 years on you, right?
Right.
So I could see why he hits closer to home for you now than what he would have for me then. Like I was, mid to late 20s, just had my first kid, with jaded to stuff that's going on. Like I've been through some more of the ringer, so to speak, of life that throws at you. So
Sure.
I was just looking at him more from a wrestling standpoint, and he just never really grabbed me at that particular point in time. But the Punk stuff, it's more just he is what he is. The fact that he went away for 7 years and the fan base still stuck with him. I thought towards the end, before he came back, the whole CM Punk chance got played out. Like, thought it was overdone. And it was a troll job that didn't work anymore.
What?
Like, after him, like maybe the first year and a half, okay. But after that, and he's not coming back, he's not showing up, he's going to UFC, everything else. Like, why are we still chanting this dude's name at arenas?
Because I feel like in wrestling, anything is possible. One of these days he would have showed up. And then one day he showed up.
But the crowd that was chanting his name, he didn't show back up to. He showed up to the alternative. Right?
At that point, the alternative didn't exist. So I feel like, I get it. Because the majority of people that did it were, Chicagoans. I mean, every time they went to Chicago, you heard that. During a Royal Rumble, you heard that. WrestleMania, you heard that. Anytime they said anything close to what CM Punk said during a promo, they would chant his name. So there was more context to it than just them saying it just to say it.
But so I'm from Pittsburgh, right? And we just had Pittsburgh was just, SmackDown was just here. Kurt Angle returned. But when Kurt Angle left and went to TNA, there weren't "you suck" chants throughout the arena every single time they came back to Pittsburgh.
I get
Punk's the only guy. Like, I just don't understand how or why the infatuation with him is what it is, to the point where he's literally the only guy that it's done for.
Because he's the only guy that said what needed to be said. Like we said at the top of the show, Kurt Angle wasn't throwing up speeches and going, oh, I'm the voice of the voiceless. And
I get it, but I mean, there's plenty of clips out there, and one was just floating back around at the time whenever the scrum happened. When he's sitting in a chair in the ring and Triple H is cutting him down, chopping him up 3 ways a Sunday, basically saying, yeah, you claim you're the voice of the voiceless, but you're selfish. You're only out for you. And then when it doesn't suit you, you take your ball, run, and you go.
There's more to that clip, though. He defended himself.
What my point is that a lot of people that are on your side of the coin that love and admire him to the point where they unwaver with anything that he does and will stick behind him. The flip side of that coin is, hey, if you look at it, he's a selfish dude that took his ball and went home.
Okay. Did you see what Ricky Sark said about him? That so? So I get that, but perception sometimes can be another person's reality, and he's perceived as like an asshole and a person that is very selfish and toe with the Goldberg shit again. God damn.
Look,
but
I'm just stirring the pot a little bit, right? Like Punk is what he is. He made an impact in wrestling. There's no debating that. There's no arguing that. He left his mark. And whenever you get into the business, all you're trying to do is leave your mark. He's going to be remembered bad and good for however people tend to perceive it, but you can't argue that he didn't leave a mark in pro wrestling.
Yeah.
Great. That's fine. But now, he's 42, 44, right?
40, 45 something. Yeah.
45 something. I'm not knocking the stuff that Starks has said about him or the love that FTR has shown him about how he was backstage and everything else. And, there's thoughts we can get into on the Elite as a whole, but I just think that Punk coming back wasn't used correctly.
No, okay, so here's the thing. I will say I will agree with you on that. I don't think I'm sorry, my cat is being a dick. I don't think him coming back after 7 years was a gateway for him to win the championship. I don't think he should have ever won the championship. To me, I think CM Punk is bigger than a championship, just like I think Bryan Danielson is bigger than a championship. Especially, like they've been around the business. They've done everything. They don't need an alternative belt from an alternative company, in my opinion. They're bigger names than that. His name alone can sell tickets. He doesn't need the belt. So
no, I completely agree with that. Like it,
Give me 1 second. I'm gonna kill my cat real quick.
Don't do that.
Get out. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I have legs. Thanks for noticing. But yeah, that's all I'm saying. Just I don't know. What was I saying?
Punk shouldn't have been, the gateway given to the title.
Right, and like what Toe was saying, you don't get where you go out of nowhere. There's a reason why they. Oh, then he told me I have nice legs. I think that's what he's trying to say, but you don't get here out of nowhere. Dave, you have sexy legs? Thanks, Johnny. What is going on with my chat right now?
I don't know, but if this show doesn't work out, it seems like you have a leg option on OnlyFans.
So you heard it here first. OnlyFans
ankles to mid thigh.
Per OnlyFans. He didn't get there out of nowhere. No, he had to work his way. Like, I don't know. There's something about it. Something about Punk that I really, really like, that I really, really respect. And I already said it, but I don't know. You got anything else for my... I know you said you had something. You were ready. So what else you got? Bring it on.
Oh, no, I was just coming on because you accused me of the constant Punk and Chicago bashing. And, I briefly said on Saturday, went on to a short
because you have okay. First of all, you have though. You have. You said you go like with your fucking
I said
deep
the
dish
Bears,
pizza.
the Bears haven't been good since Ditka. The Bulls haven't been good since Jordan. The Red Wings haven't been good since they've had every Russian's last name that end in Ov. Deep
That's
dish
not
pizza
even
is
Chicago.
highly overrated. Or the Blackhawks. Sorry, look, I'm
Who's
confusing
overrated?
my teams. The Blackhawks.
Oh,
deep
no,
dish
fuck the
pizza.
Blackhawks.
Deep dish pizza is highly overrated. That's just lasagna cooked in a cast iron skillet.
Lasagna has pasta in it.
Deep dish pizza has 5 pounds of sauce on it. It's not pizza.
Yeah. And underneath is cheese.
If I constantly have to use a fork and a knife, it's not pizza.
What do you mean?
You can't just cut into a deep dish pizza and pick it up.
People cut into a regular pizza all the time. What do you think a pizza cutter is?
Yeah, but they're not sitting there eating their pizza with a fork and a knife like you got to do with a deep dish.
Unless you don't want to get a stain on your shirt. I mean, how else are you going to eat it?
Well, if you're constantly wearing white CM Punk t-shirts around, I guess you constantly have to wear, eat your food with a fork and a knife all the time.
Listen, as a Chicagoan, I probably had a deep dish pizza maybe 3 times in my life.
That's blasphemy. You should have to move out of Chicago for that.
Nope.
They're going to come get you after the show.
That's more of a. I think that's more of a tourist thing.
I don't know. I've never been to Chicago, so.
So you can't hate. Have you ever had a deep dish pizza?
Yeah, I've had a deep dish pizza
in Chicago.
No, not in Chicago.
Okay. So you can't knock it.
You had a deep dish pizza. You had one. You had them all. Okay.
No, that's like saying, what's a big thing that you guys got in Pittsburgh besides steel and
besides steel? I mean, the
gray skies.
The thing that built America. What are you talking about?
What else?
Look at all your tall skyscrapers in Chicago. What are they made out of? Steel.
That's Chicago sweat, blood, and tears. Sweat.
I mean, food wise, I mean, Permane sandwiches.
So nothing, because I never even heard of
that. We're famous for putting French fries on sandwiches and salads.
Oof.
Schittsburg. Where's Young Wolf from?
Uh-oh. He's from California, I think.
With his avocado toast. That's cool.
You guys don't have like a Philly cheesesteak?
No, that's the other side of the state that don't count.
Isn't that what they're most famous for, though? I mean,
Philly cheesesteaks?
Yeah.
They're not that great. There may be like 2 spots in Philly that has a really good cheesesteak. Other than that, they're all just trash with cheese whiz on top.
Listen, I'm so sick of the bashing. It's endless. It's every Saturday. I have to hear about it. You know what? Yeah, the Red Wings suck right now. Yes, the Bears suck. I don't give a fuck about NFL, but the Bears do suck. Indeed, they're not going to make it to the playoffs. How's the Steelers doing this year, though?
Oh, we're trash this year. I've never touted us as being anything but trash this year. I knew we were going to be trash.
And do you have a college team?
Yeah, I'm a graduate of University of Pittsburgh, so
Michigan?
Pitt Panthers.
Oh,
and then Florida State Seminoles was always my school growing up. Charlie Ward, Warwick Dunn, those boys got me hooked football wise. I've always been a fan of the Wolverines because my high school, our mascot was the Wolverine, had the same helmet, only ours was turquoise and black instead of the maize and gold. So, I always plus Steve Breston, who I graduated with, played in the NFL, went to Michigan, still holds records for punt returns and kickoff returns. So listen, I'll stop with the bashing. No, honestly, it just stirs the pot and gets you riled up. And sometimes we need that interjected into our show because Jason's there sleeping with a hoodie on. Donald's miserable and not talking about AEW. And Chris just laughs at all three of us. So, I got to get the comment section going so we can bring that back together. That's what a good host does. I see what's going on, what's lacking, and I need to, bring the energy back to the show. So if I got to rile you up by messing with Chicago and, get you and some other people in the chat going, then that's what I got to do. Poke the bear a little bit.
Oh yeah. So much that I derail it and you don't know what to do then.
Yeah, listen. No, it's all in fun. Like I told you before we went on there. If I'm not messing with you and talking shit, then I don't really like you. All of us that grew up together, we didn't meet up and say, hey, how was your day? How things going? And when your mother's this, your dad's a bum. Like it was all those types of jokes and cracks. So I think.
Let me ask you, since you brought it up. What's the deal with the AEW shit?
As far as what?
Why
the criticism of AEW right now?
I'm so sick and tired of people saying they don't have storylines when they do. You just got to look for them.
So part of the problem, and I touched on this a little bit this past week, is, for example, Athena. Really well told story with her heel turn and where she went to where she's at, culminated with a big win this past weekend, new women's ROH champion. Loved everything about it. I just wish it would have played out on Dynamite. It's on Dark and Elevation.
But here's the thing: people also complain
a brief segment here on Rampage. Like I think Tony Khan, and with his booking, and he said it himself, he brings people in factions or feuds in for a time, and then once they're done, they're back out, right?
Yeah.
Okay, if that's how you're going to run the show and that's how you're going to tell your stories, I got no problem with that. You told me up front that's what you're going to do, so I'm not going to knock you for that. But you have to have a better eye of figuring out what are your best stories and have them on your main television program each and every single week. You can't have one of your best stories being played out on Dark and Elevation and a brief segment on Rampage and then a title win on a pay-per-view that's for another promotion that you own. But that's hurting your product.
But I don't understand how it's hurting your product when it's almost like it's good advertisement, because it's like, oh, you got to watch these shows on YouTube in order to understand what's going on. Isn't that the whole point, though, of having those?
How many casual fans has AEW attracted since they started the company 3 years ago?
I mean, I don't have the exact analytics here.
If you look at their ratings, and I'm not talking ratings as in like, oh, ratings are gold and everything else, but if you look at their numbers, they've stayed consistent on Dynamite as far as what they bring in on a weekly basis. Hasn't grown, hasn't really dropped off. There's been weeks where things are higher and lower, but that's to be expected given whatever else is on TV going on at the time of year, et cetera, et cetera. So what that says to me is that your core fan base is in place. Your core fan base isn't going anywhere. Your core fan base loves your product, and they're going to tune in every single week. Great. That's awesome. You have your main stable market in. Now, how are you going to grow your product? You need to grow your product. Any business, you get your foundational customer base, just like us on on our show and you on this show and everybody else that we talk to. You have your same fans that come back each and every single week, which is awesome. But how do you grow it? How do you get it bigger? How do you take it to the next level? Right now, over the course of the first 3 years, from where they started to where they are now, I think they've taken steps back to where they haven't been able to grow the product. And to me, the biggest fault in that is the storytelling and the storylines. So I'm not going to knock AEW for the wrestling. AEW is where wrestlers can wrestle, minus JAS, because they're sports entertainers. But you're going to see banging matches every single week on Dynamite. I'm not going to discredit that or say that's not what Dynamite is. But pro wrestling's been around for how long? And what's the basis for pro wrestling? Storytelling. Storytelling is what gets asses in seats. So if you're not storytelling or you're not picking the correct stories to be on TV, then I'm not going to come on and tell you, here's a bouquet of roses. You're doing everything great.
I believe that to a certain extent, though, because how many times have you saw two names pop up on a card without a storyline built into it, and you were like, that's going to be a banger. Holy shit, I cannot wait to see that.
And not everything has to be a story. This is where the confusion comes in, and this is where Jason has a problem, or Chris sometimes has a problem on the show, where I just feel like it has to be story 100% of the time. No, you have 3 hours of programming in AEW. You have 5 hours of programming in WWE. You're not going to be able to tell stories for every single person and every single match the entire time. It's just not realistic. So yes, you're going to have matches that are just put together to be on the card because you need matches to fill the card. Great. I'm okay with that. I have no problem with that. Danielson and Dax the other week, no storyline. I call you out for a match. We signed the deal. Awesome. Let's go. Fantastic. Tuned in. Loved it. There's places and moments for that, right? But I feel like ever since Forbidden Door, that's what Tony Khan has relied on. And it's just been, let me go to DraftKings and play Wrestling Fantasy League and pick my players and match up and have matches. Where's the legitimate story that's been told since Forbidden Door? Wardlow was the hottest act from January till June, wins the TNT title, falls off a cliff. Now he gets on a promo and says it's Wardlow's world, and nobody in the crowd is saying it along with him.
That's because
that's bad booking.
I don't know if it's bad booking, but fans are very, very fickle. They will beg and plead and beg and plead and beg and plead for a push for a certain person. Once they get that push, they just forget about him. They're like, oh, he's overrated. I'm tired of him having the belt already. Give it to somebody else. It happens all the time. It happens all the time.
Agree. But in this example, Wardlow wasn't to that point. There was nobody that was saying he's overrated. He shouldn't have a title. He shouldn't be the next guy.
But there was, though.
I didn't hear or see any of that. Like, to me, he had all the momentum in the world to carry him to where you have MJF with the belt and full circle year later. That's a money feud where Wardlow wins the title and becomes champ. And if you were on the show on Saturday, I said Ricky Starks is the right guy, wrong time. Yeah. 5-star, 5-tool player, everything. He's been a moneymaker since he showed up in AEW. He was a star in the NWA. If you didn't watch him before he came to AEW, go check out some of his back stuff in the NWA. He can't miss. He's charisma. As soon as he walks out on the screen, he has the same effect as when. Now, this is going to get me heat in the comments probably, but same as Jade. Jade walks out, presentation, look, charisma, star-wise, it's there, right? Ricky's the same as her, but he has all the other things that she's learning and building and growing on. Right now, right? Ricky's the right guy, wrong time. You hotshot him over a week for a winner-take-all title match in Diamond Ring when you know he's not going to win. You're leaving money on the table. And that's the number one rule you shouldn't do in wrestling is leave money on the table. And they've done that a lot this year, which I feel like has hurt them from growing their product.
I don't think it's the wrong place, wrong or right time, because people were imagining this matchup since the beginning of that tournament, since his
But
name was
why?
called on.
Okay, so you had
So
the
how is
tournament,
it
and you had him win, which
right?
when they booked the tournament, I said he's the guy that should win. Then you put him in the Diamond Ring Battle Royal for what reason? He already won the tournament. He has his title shot already. We knew the title shot was booked for Winter is Coming. Again, it's a hot shot, but we knew that. So why are you adding him into the Diamond Ring Battle Royal? What purpose does it tell?
Well, I mean,
Did it
to add
add
more
more
stakes.
intrigue did it truly add more stakes to their match? It was for the belt. It didn't need a diamond ring to add more stakes.
But that's MJF's thing, man. That's like his, that's his staple. It's like Stone Cold with a beer. So losing that would,
Losing
I
that's
don't know.
more important to MJF than losing Triple B.
I mean, I wouldn't say that, but
Okay, so again, why
now
put
he's
Starks
got
in
he's
that
got two things
situation?
to worry about.
So he got two things to worry about, and he wins on Wednesday. He wins tomorrow night. Then what do you do with Ricky?
But that's the thing, though. Do we know for a fact that he's gonna win? I mean, yeah, he just got the belt. I mean, but
Have they really sowed the disbelief factor to where you can tune in and honestly think Starks is going to win that tomorrow night?
that's a question that you would have to answer. You have to
For
watch
me,
the
no.
movies.
For me, no. Am I going to tune in and watch it? Absolutely, because I think they're going to put on a hell of a match. MJF is criminally underrated in the ring from bell to bell. People don't give him enough credit. And Starks, like I said, he's a 5-tool guy. He can do anything. So
Exactly. So what's the buildup that you need? What's this hot shot shit that you need? That should be
you're
that you
putting
should
it
be able to
on.
make a story in it for yourself too. But also think about what they've had in the past. They've had indie show run-ins, and they obviously know each other, and that's why he was able to call him out on his bullshit last Wednesday.
Okay. So from somebody that may not be familiar with their indie run-ins, what does that doesn't do anything for me. It means nothing for me. You haven't had enough time to tell that story. That's a story in and of itself. They have history in the past from whatever promotions they were on the indies.
I'll agree with that
So
but
why
it's
can't
like you
why
said,
can't
though.
you build off of that? Why do you have to just run it 1 week later?
But it's like what you said, like most AEW fans are a bunch of smart marks that already know what's going on. Like they're in on it. And those
All
are the
right.
same fans that have been there since day one. I mean,
So if they've been there since day one, right? And that the audience hasn't really grown much. It stayed relatively the same since day one. How long is the business model sustainable? How much of a run can you get out of it?
I'm just saying, I think it's, well, I mean, think about it.
Impact
This
for
the whole Briscoes and FTR thing was based off of a tweet.
Right, but they've told first match was in April, last match was now. That's what, an 8-month story?
With nothing in between, though.
But you saw the entire story play out over the course of 8 months.
When?
And those two teams are an outlier because they have that magic that no matter when they're in the ring, they're going to put on a 5-star classic. And if you watch that match, Jason, I hope he's listening because I'm going to get into his ass on Saturday. The Usos are nowhere near FTR. We talked about that on Debate This.
Oh, I heard that.
You can't watch that match and say that the Usos are tag team of the year after that's all FTR has done is put on those types of matches all year long.
But that's all I'm saying. Like,
but was that AEW or
why
was
does
that
it
ROH?
always? But it's the same thing. Tony's booking all of it.
So then, are you worried about ROH doing anything? It's behind a paywall. It's $9.99 a month.
Am I worried about it? ROH has never been. I mean, I'm not sure.
Without
I
ROH,
never
you
seen a
don't.
Tony ROH before.
Well, you can have an idea potentially on what it may look like based off of how he's booked his pay-per-views. To me, his ROH pay-per-views have been better than his AEW pay-per-views this year.
I mean, it's debatable for sure. So, I mean, I don't
Listen,
know.
I don't think he should be booking both. I think that's too
But
much for one person.
he's proven again and again he has the capability.
On a full-time regular basis for weekly television for ROH plus weekly television for Dynamite and Rampage, that's a lot for one person.
I mean, he did it with Full
If
Gear.
you're booking pay-per-views every 90 days out and you have it spread out like you've had it this year, then okay. Yeah, you can put a card together and it's a hell of a pay-per-view. I'm not going to argue that. But I just feel like that's way too much for one person. And if you're bringing all these people in, like a Jeff Jarrett, for example, well, what are you having him doing? Why can't you delegate some of that? The best head coaches in the NFL or any sport are what? They're very good delegators.
But
they put their people in the right position. They're CEOs. They're delegators. So if Tony Khan's the head of AEW, he's the CEO of AEW.
They don't control everything, and I believe that he does have like an offensive coordinator, a defensive coordinator, special teams. I don't think it's just him. I mean, yeah, he's the main guy. He's the last. I think he's like the last line of defense, just like Vince was.
I disagree with that. I think that's one of the reasons why Cody left.
Well, when Cody kind of dug himself in a hole because he decided to go and, book this Codyverse for himself, and it just didn't work out, and it wasn't getting over. And TK saw that, and once you see something as trash, you would want to fix it the best he can, and I think he did the best he could with what he had.
I think the booking of AEW in the beginning, whenever it was more of Cody, the Bucks, and Kenny, was way better storytelling than what they have now.
But that's because it was only the Bucks, Kenny, and Cody. They closed. They opened and closed the show.
That's not true. How many people got built up during them and under them? Cody gets a terrible rap, but look at how many people Cody built up and put over in AEW.
Who?
What do you mean who? He put Sammy over night one. Sammy came in, wrestled on the opening match night one, and closed the show by joining the Inner Circle night one.
Okay, boom, that's Sammy. Okay, that's
Darby.
Sammy. Darby. How much of that is Cody, and how much of that is Darby just being a fucking reckless person?
I mean,
I would say Darby and Sammy put themselves over during that Revolution match.
But at that point, they were already established because who were they involved with first? Cody.
Okay, I'll give you Cody and Sammy. Give me three more.
Yeah, I mean, like, and I wasn't expecting to deep dive into Cody's AEW run right now.
Well, hey, this is in my opinion, and I'm just trying to figure it out because I'm kind of at this point I'm kind of sick of the. I'm not saying you in particular, like specifically, but I'm just sick of the TK can't book gimmick at this point. I think it's played out. Like he's proven time and time again, or he's not capable. I wouldn't say
he doesn't know how to book. It's not that he doesn't know how to book. I think part of the issue with him recently is that the stuff that he's choosing to put on a weekly basis hasn't always been the best stories that they could be telling. So your main promise, like, there's no reason why JAS and the Blackpool Combat Club should have been feuding for the entire year of 2022.
Okay, I'll give you that. I'll also give
That-
you another one though. Jamie Hayter. Thought she was booked great.
So to counter your point, which you just brought up to me, to my point, wasn't that more of Jamie getting over herself with the fans, and the fans wanting to push Jamie, not necessarily how TK booked her? Like, if you really go back and look
More or
at
less,
look at her
I
year,
mean-
if you like really go back and look at her year, like,
I think a lot of things are now. I mean, now that I say it out loud, I think a lot of things are 50-50.
I will say Tony, he does listen to the fans to an extent. He has listened to them more than I think Vince ever had. Hunter's still new, so time will tell with him.
And they got the lowest rating of Monday Night Raw this week.
They're in a bad spot right now. Bad spot right now. So we can deep dive into that if you want, but yeah, it's just, look, I tune in, I watch every week. I like it for what it is. Can it be better? Absolutely. Is it the alternative that they promised when they first started? No, that mission statement changed. It's not what they initially said it was going to be.
Right.
Can I sit there and watch it now with the glasses of their current mission statement and how they're going to put on the product moving forward? Yeah, if you change your expectations for the show and you're invested in what they're going to do as a company, then there's nothing wrong with AEW. I would just like it to be better than what it has been. As a weekly consumer.
It's not going to be perfect.
No
I mean,
wrestling company is.
But
And how many things are perfect?
I mean, Tyrus being NWA champion's pretty perfect. Honestly.
You
I
want
mean-
to talk about
You want to see that?
not promoter of the year, Billy?
Right.
You want to talk about driving your own company into the ground?
That's what I'm saying.
Can't alienate your fan base.
Why is it that like whenever something happens backstage with AEW, people are so quick to go, that's it. This is their downfall. This company's going under, man. This company.
I think that's just clickbait and people jumping on the conclusion mat to the end of AEW's existence because they want to see it crash and burn just to say, see, told you so.
They said the same thing when they heard Regal was leaving. It's because he can't handle the immature locker room.
And I mean, and that comes out both sides. See,
so, but
those
okay,
types-
but that were the
those types
case
of
then.
reporting and-
Going back to CM Punk, he was right then.
if you believe what was said was true, if it is all immature.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
So if you feel that way, that it is just a bunch of immature people in management running the show, then okay, yeah, CM Punk was right. But then what's that say about Tony Khan?
Tony Khan, like
gonna-
everybody's saying, he's got a lot going on his plate. You didn't see Vince McMahon doing any disciplinary shit when the shit was hitting the fan. It was always John Laurinaitis that had to do the dirty work and fire people.
So you're circling back around to my point again. You just said Tony Khan has a lot of shit on his plate. So how's he going to book 2 promotions on top of the Jacksonville Jaguars and Fulham?
He's doing it.
But is that the right call? Is that what's best for business?
Listen, if you can't trust somebody to do it the right way, then you got to do it yourself.
As fans,
that's what I
we've all
think his
sat here.
mentality is.
Look, I'm 38. I'll be 39 on New Year's Eve, right? I've been watching wrestling since I was 4 years old. My first ever babysitter got me Saturday mornings wrestling. I got a wooden wrestling ring whenever I was 3 years old. My sister sat her fat ass down in it and broke it Christmas morning. I was heartbroken. I digress. The main point of the story is so 34 years of my life, I've been a wrestling fan. Literally nonstop, watching anything and everything. If you gave me the keys to the kingdom and I was to book a show right now, would I have some stuff that hits? Absolutely. Would I have a lot of stuff that were swing and misses? Probably. That's where Tony Khan's at right now. He's a super fan that had the ability to live out all of our dreams, own a wrestling company, and book a promotion on national TV.
And he's doing that.
But I think he needs to rely more on the people that he's bringing in and surrounding himself with names like Dustin Rhodes, Jerry Lynn, Dean Malenko, Mark Henry, Paul White, Jeff Jarrett. Those guys, Sanjay Dutt, who doesn't get a lot of credit for his wrestling mind. Those people that you bring in, you need to rely on them and use them to your advantage. And goes back to my point of being the head coach. If you delegate it out, it's going to work. Yeah, you can have final say just like the head coach. Hey, 4th and 1, we're not running this flea flicker. We're running an off tackle, right? They haven't stopped the play all game long. I don't care what you say up in the booth as the offensive coordinator. I'm calling the play here. Yeah, you're going to have times where you need to do that. But at the same time, you're not on the headset calling the game the entire time. Why hire an offensive coordinator?
Fair point.
Same thing.
Fair point. I honestly have no rebuttal towards that. I have nothing. If TK isn't able to book while maintaining the Jaguars, Fulham, then he say so by now, I think. Oh yeah.
I don't think he would admit it.
I mean,
the man
he's
is
not, but to that point though,
bunny.
He's not necessarily doing all of it by himself. His dad is also, he's like co-owner. His dad is the main owner of all of it.
His dad's not one of those owners. He's not like a Jerry Jones that's involved or an Arthur Blank in Atlanta.
I don't think TK's job is. I think TK is mainly just roster focused.
TK is in their statistics. He's with scouting departments. He's in the war room on draft day, making draft picks, approving trades. That's time. Anybody manage a fantasy football league, times it by about 1,000 or 100,000. That's running an NFL team. You know how much time I've spent on fantasy football leagues with reviewing players and stats and analysis and trade values and everything else?
Okay.
People do that full time for a living.
You know what? I have to commend him for that then. Because he's managed to do it. I mean, granted, the fucking Jaguars suck. But
I think the biggest thing that I see with him, and I said it before on our show, he books exactly like his personality is. He's hyper 24/7, always on the go, always moving, just go. And that's how he's booking his promotion, which makes sense because he's the one booking it.
And I kind of like it because, I like the go. Don't bore me with a fucking 20-minute promo on how you're the best and how you deserve it. Just fucking do it.
Which is fine. But at the same time, again, it goes, is that what's best for business?
I mean, like you said, they're going to have their fans no matter what. So it's working so far.
But we've seen recently over the last 6 months, ticket sales haven't been what they were. You got certain people coming in, leaving, regretting it. Talent that's brought in a spot, all of a sudden are just gone, have no idea what's happened to them. Like, example, Kip Sabian. Kip Sabian gets over by putting a bag over his face. Literally, a bag of brown paper bag over his face that said overrated, does the Where's Waldo gimmick, gets over. You bring him back on a pay-per-view to take out Pac, and now he's nothing but Penelope's valet? Like,
they've always been like that, though. Since I've known Kip, they've always been that.
No, but it has nothing to do with Kip and Penelope. Like, I have no issue with that. What I'm saying is you bring him back and put him in that spot, and then he just disappears, and nothing happens.
I think Tony
So if you
Khan,
don't have, like, there's no 6, 8 month, 12-month plan that you see. It's
what
just
about
right here, right now.
What about the Hangman Kenny Omega thing?
That was within the first 2 years of the company. So who booked that? Who was the driver behind that?
I mean,
was it Omega and the Bucks and Cody and Hangman working together and telling that story, or was that
at
all
that
Tony
time
Khan?
though TK was running all of it? That was just last year.
As long as Penelope Ford is on my screen, God bless. Hey, there's another underutilized talent.
Wasn't she just on TV?
She's been injured.
That's what I think. That's another thing too, though. A lot of injuries kind of hinder a lot of potential storylines that could be on TV.
But if you're booking the show, especially pro wrestling, just like any sport, you have to take into consideration that injuries are going to happen. As JR says all the time, it's not ballet. So if I know and for example, TK came out and said with the FTR and CM Punk, that storyline got derailed because Punk got injured, and then he came back, and we all know what happened. But you got to be able to have A, B, C, D, and E lined up based off of injuries, people requesting time off, somebody fails a drug test, whatever happens. You got to have your options lined up to go to where it doesn't necessarily have to be a seamless transition, but after 2-3 weeks, you should right that ship and be okay. Plan A didn't work out because this guy's out 6 months, so we got to flip to plan B.
Right.
And that wasn't the case this year. And granted, it's the first time he's encountered it because it's a young company. So he may not have had it set up that way, but will he learn from the mistake if it happens again where you get a rash of injuries all within a four-week period to where all your top stars are out? Maybe. We'll see. But there's no reason why that happens in June and December. You haven't been able to right the ship. In my opinion.
I just think that for what it's worth, regardless of everything that's happened, it hasn't been that bad as everybody's saying it is. And I hate doing this tribalism shit, but there's also a lot of people in the WWE that just disappear all of a sudden.
Oh,
but
100% agree with you.
it's like it's just more noticeable because they are a younger company, so they're put under a fucking magnifying glass anytime they do anything. They'll nitpick every little thing, and I get it to a certain extent, but it's like, which is it? You either say that they have way too many people, or they're not using enough people. I mean, you can't have everybody on TV all at once.
Agreed. No, I agree. And you shouldn't have roster size being what they are. You shouldn't have the same people on TV all the time. There needs to be that ebb and flow to an extent.
And
But
then,
with certain people, like for example, all right, here's Lance Archer. Came in with Jake the Snake, faced Cody, right? Lost. And then has subsequently lost every single big match he's been in. So when you bring Lance Archer back after not seeing him on TV for how long to face Ricky Starks in the first round of the tournament, from what you've given me on TV, this isn't me being wrestling nerd behind the scenes, reading every dirt sheet, following every website and everything else. What you've presented to me on TV, oh, Ricky Starks is winning this. Lance Archer never wins. He always loses a big match. Not that you got to book Lance Archer to be heavyweight champion. I'm not saying that, but at the same time, the man has no credibility.
I mean, as of late, no.
It's the same thing in the women's division.
But
with
there's
new champion who, except now, this with Jamie's a little bit different. But before then, new champion, who's the first opponent? Nyla.
Are you talking about the AEW women's or the TBS?
Well, there's only been one champion for the TBS, so I mean, she had one first.
That's what
match,
I'm saying.
Who was that first match with? Wasn't it with Nyla?
I mean, I think so. Yeah.
So I mean, look at the formatting of the show. You put the women's match on at the same time slot. There's been maybe a handful of times that it hasn't been booked that way, but typically 9:20, 9:25 every Wednesday, there's a women's match.
I have not noticed that deeply into that.
Yo, when I'm live tweeting on Wednesday night, the timeline it comes. Here's the women's match, women's spot, women's match, women's match. You gotta adjust and change it up. You can't get so repetitive that people automatically know.
But I feel like people who just watch it don't really notice that. I mean, we do that because
the AEW fan base is the smart mark, so they notice that. They're the quote unquote smartest wrestling fans in the world, right?
But let's be real. Let's be real for a second.
I'm being well, that's debatable. But I'm just saying it. Smart mark or not, dumb mark or not, like if it's to the point where more than one person is noticing it, I mean, change it up.
I can't. I don't know what else to say about this subject because I'm. Well,
all right. Well, let's
be more prepared
for
this.
What else? Huh? What else you got for me? What else you got for me?
No, I mean, what else? What I thought I'd be more prepared for this because I don't. I don't deep dive enough, I guess, to really. I just see what I see, and what I see doesn't offend me.
And I'm not, and I'm not saying that what I see offends me either. It's just after having WWE be the only ball game in town for how many years? 20 years, right?
And there's a thing. I feel like that's another thing too, is that people want that format. they say they want an alternative.
What, to have the women's match at the same time every single Wednesday?
No, well, no, not that. No, just they want stories and they want this and want that. But little do they realize is like that's what separates AEW from WWE for the
Agree.
most part,
Agree.
because that's an alternative. If you want the
Agree.
same, I mean, if you want the same thing over and over again, I mean, WWE's got 3 shows, 2 of them are USA. So
Agree. And every promotion is going to have their niche fan base. They're going to have that foundation. Impact still has it, regardless of whether or not people can find it or watch it. They still have their diehard fan base. NWA, for what it is now, still has their diehard fan base. MLW, same thing.
the one guy,
New Japan, same thing. GCW, same thing. Like, you have your built-in audience and you have your built-in fans, and that's great. That's the first part in getting over, is establishing a fan base that keeps coming back. It's awesome. But as a business, and these are all businesses, what's a business's main goal? Make money, or else why else are you in business?
I get that, but we're talking about like we were saying earlier, we're talking about like a mom and pop restaurant versus McDonald's.
But WWE was the mom and pop, and now they're McDonald's, right? So what did they do to become McDonald's? They had to attract more people to their restaurant. You can't have the same locals that come in town all the time. For example, there's a famous hoagie place, and for those of you that don't live in Pittsburgh, a hoagie is a sub. Okay, famous hoagie place in Pittsburgh. They've been around for 50 plus years, right?
Yeah.
Everybody that's local knows it and goes to it, right? But the owner has done a great job of building the brand to where people that move out of state tell other people where they move to about that hoagie place. So then those people come in and buy hoagies. Expanded the business, expanded the base. I used to work there. There was literally people would fly in from California that have never been in Pittsburgh their entire life. They get off the plane and the first place they drive to would be that hoagie place, which is crazy to see and hear, but it happened all the time. People would come from Canada and say, "Hey, I'm flying back to Canada. I need you to make me, 2 subs, box them up," and they would take them on the plane and fly home to Canada with them. Nobody's doing that with a deep dish Chicago pizza. I can tell you that much.
Hoagie.
But it goes back to my point. You got to expand your base at some point.
I get it. But also, it's kind of like not the point I was trying to make. It's like, it's like a mom and pop restaurant that was just made 4 years ago versus McDonald's. McDonald's has more of a history. It's more recognizable. Of course, people are going to go to that a lot more than the mom and pop place, even though the food's good. The menu's decent, shit like that. Hoagies. No, I get it.
So you're like Olive Garden versus your local Italian restaurant.
Yeah. For the most part. I guess I could use any kind of analogy, but
so then it comes back to, all right, so as the owner of the mom and pop, what's your goal? What is the goal? Is the goal just to be a mom and pop? To be a staple of the community where everybody knows you know everybody. You're going to have your same customers that come and eat there 2-3 times a week all the time. And that's great. And there's nothing wrong with that. But if you're trying to become something bigger, you can't just constantly serve the new menu items or the same old menu items to the same people and expect business to grow. And do we really know what TK really wants? No, I don't think so. But I mean, at some point, are you going to end up being a legit alternative that we've been hoping and dying for? Or are you just going to be another TNA Ring of Honor? Where, yes, you're an alternative, but if, WWE's major leagues and you're just, single or double A ball. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I don't think he's on the scale coming out and being established on national TV for the first time in over 20 years as a true competitor to just play double A ball.
No, yeah, that's fair. I was trying to think of a better analogy, to be honest with you, but I just can't, because what you said was honestly better than what I was saying. I'm trying, to me, I just try to defend them so hard because they get a bad rep a lot.
And I think a lot of that is overblown and overstated because they were the new quarterback that came into school and all the cheerleaders liked them. So everybody else in the school just starts hating on them, right? They were the cool new kids on the block. They came in. They had a hot program, great talent. People tuned in. They were seeing matchups that they never thought they would see before.
Yeah, it's great.
Which is great. But at some point, you run out of doing those matchups. So once all those matchups are used up, then what are you going to do? What are you going to build? What's there?
That's true. A lot of those people that they have now aren't going to be there forever. They're they're reaching their 40s. So,
but I mean, you're 3 years in, getting ready to working on year 4, and like we're the holy shits of a Dax versus Danielson or an Omega versus whoever. Like,
do you think that adding new championships is sort of evolving them in a way, or
what, like with the add-on of the Atlantic and CBS,
with all that stuff, triple?
I think there's too many belts in wrestling, period. Like it's too overdone to an extent with championships. Some companies that can come across as like, be it, Oprah back in the day, where you get a car, you get a car, you get a car type of deal. I mean, everybody has a damn title in wrestling nowadays. They don't mean nothing.
I think that's a part of the IWC's problem, though, too, is that they constantly say that everybody, if they had it their way, everybody they love and everybody would get everybody would get a push and a belt. And I think TK sees that and he's like, well, I just got to make a new belt then.
Yeah, that's something that's wrong. And I don't need all of my favorites to have a belt. Like I love Eddie Kingston. If Eddie Kingston never wins a belt in AEW, I'm not going to be mad or turn the product off because they never pushed him to where he became a champion.
Yeah.
Like, not everybody is the guy.
Exactly. You know what? This is where I'll agree with you with that, because everybody can't be the guy. Like, there's just some people, like it on any TV show, you got your main character and your side characters, right?
Right. You have Tony Soprano. Chrissy or Paulie wasn't Tony.
Right.
So they're not, the writer's not going to push them to be Tony. Tony is Tony.
They can have their stories for sure, But it's never gonna. Yeah, it's just never gonna be Tony Soprano.
Right.
He's the champion. He's the main. He's the guy that sells the tickets or gets you watching. Literally, the
So
whole show
to-
is called The Sopranos.
So to that point, with who they take all the other titles out of it, let's just focus on the AEW Heavyweight Championship title. To this point, have the right people held the belt as heavyweight champion?
No. And
Who has held the title that shouldn't have held the title?
Hangman, CM Punk.
We touched on Punk already. Why do you feel Hangman wasn't deserving of the heavyweight title?
And this is more of a personal thing for me because the fans, I don't know, for some reason, I could
The
not.
fans love Hangman.
Did they though? It just seemed to me it felt like forced, and I wasn't really into the, I'm a broken cowboy gimmick at the time when he was overcoming his little demon.
Was it a broken cowboy, or was it more of my friends turned their back on me?
Yeah, but it was like so
they
convoluted
feel
because I didn't know who
I'm not on their level. They look down on me, even though they called me their best friend. So I got to go out and prove myself.
But to me,
I'm just as
it
good
became
as
more
you.
about the elite, and I didn't really get a redemption story out of it. The only thing I would say that was cool.
The only thing with Hangman that I didn't like, and it wasn't even that I didn't like it. It's just, it was a case of bad timing. Was it should have been at All Out and not at Full Gear, but it couldn't have happened at All Out because of his wife having the baby.
But that's the thing too. Like, yeah,
so life got in the way. It stalled it. So the pop and quote unquote reaction, I think, would have been bigger at All Out than Full Gear.
That's also the thing too. Once he got it, nothing happened.
Okay, so who's that on?
Him.
It's on TK. Look who he booked him against. He had the 60-minute with Danielson, which was a hell of a match. Then he had the second match with Danielson. Oh, who else did he wrestle? Lance Archer, right? Go back to my point. Putting Lance Archer out there, gotta fight a monster.
I'm just saying,
Same formula.
I'm just saying, like, from what I've seen, it felt like to me, it felt like Hangman was one of those wrestlers where he came out and, you know those wrestlers I'm talking about where you see the name and you recognize the name and you just go, oh, he's there. That's pretty cool. That's the same way I felt about Hangman coming out every day he had that belt. Oh, look, Hangman. That's pretty cool. Like there was nothing. There was nothing there for me. He did, and his promos are not convincing. I think he tries too hard.
He's not the strongest on the mic. I'll agree with that. But for a company that's establishing itself to where you want to build names and stars that are going to be around for 10, 12, 15, 20 years, to where you have, people 25 years from now, clamoring for a Hangman Page nostalgia moment like they do Kurt Angle or DX or anybody else. You got to establish those people. I think Hangman can absolutely carry a company. Was it smart for them to put the belt on him right now or when they did? That's debatable. Was he the right one to beat Omega? Yeah, he was the right one to beat Omega.
That was the best moment. That's what I was about to say.
That's what the moment's for. That's the payoff.
Yeah. No, that was the best moment when the Bucks were, but that was when the Bucks go, they gave him the nod of approval and then he won it.
That's the payoff. That's the moment. That's what makes people fall in love with a CM Punk like you at 12 years old, although it was for other reasons. But those are the moments that make people fall in love with wrestlers to where they want to see him 30 years later.
I just wish he had more. I just wish he had more to go with the belt. Him coming out with pyro and having cowboy shit chants doesn't really do it. I mean,
all right. So forget about the past. Let's talk about the present right now. MJF.
I can't forget about the past, man.
First week after winning the title, he's not even on TV. The next 2 weeks in his title reign are two of the lowest rated Dynamites that they've had.
Hold on, let's not talk about the past. Let's talk about the now. Did you see him at UFC flipping off the camera?
I did. Did you hear the crowd go mid when they showed him?
No.
Yeah, there was no reaction at all. It was bad. It was bad. It was bad. You get a, it was yeah. And I love MJF. I loved MJF in MLW. You could see what he was going to become. Then the Dynasty group was great. Him, Holiday, Hammerstone, terrific. And he's been the shining brightest of bright stars since AEW came out. Like, it's been the MJF show.
Right. But go on with your point about.
Okay, so right now MJF first week not on TV as champ. Well, next 2 weeks, two of your lowest rated shows.
Mm-hmm.
Was he the right guy to put the belt on?
Absolutely. I don't think ratings should reflect whether or not a guy is right for being a champion. I mean, he's not the whole show.
But 3 weeks in, I mean, has it been worth it? I haven't
I mean, at least I would think so, because at least he's trying. I mean, unlike Roman Reigns, I haven't seen him in fucking forever.
Listen, all right. We're not going to disparage the bloodline. It's the best thing in pro wrestling. Okay,
get the fuck out of here.
The best thing in pro wrestling. There's not a story out there that's better than the bloodline.
No way. We're not going to disparage the bloodline?
No. It's the best storyline in pro wrestling.
Is it the bloodline? Or is it just Sami Zayn?
No, Sammy has taken it to another level, but the bloodline before Sammy was the best story in pro wrestling. Story. I'm not saying that he's had the best matches in pro wrestling. There's a delineation there. There's a difference.
So that makes it okay for Roman to not just show up then, or what? I don't get the.
Why does Roman have to show up every week?
He's a double champ. He's not got just one belt. He's got two belts for two brands. And
look at your champions through WWE's history. Hogan wasn't there every time. Savage wasn't there every week. Flair wasn't there every week. Stone Cold wasn't wrestling every week. Rock,
but he doesn't even defend it on pay-per-views. Extreme Rules, he wasn't even on the card.
He doesn't need to be on the card every pay-per-view.
Why?
Because WWE has built in a 40-plus year fan base that no matter who's on the card, they're going to have people tune in. And you're at a point now where legitimately, which is why you hear the rumblings of The Rock and everything else, You don't
I
have
hate
nobody
that.
for him to beat. He's beating everybody. So why are you going to put him out on a pay-per-view to wrestle some Joe Schmo? The whole story for the 2+ years that he's had the belt has been what? I'm the best. It's my show. I run this.
So
I'm
the
gonna
same
smack
people.
you, stash
That's
you.
fine. That's fine. I don't want to
So-
ever hear when Brock Lesnar wins the belt off of him again and then goes off on a hiatus that we complain about part-timers. Oh, he's just holding the belt hostage. I heard that for fucking years.
But Brock was a true.
But it's okay
So
if Roman Reigns does it.
Roman's a part-timer.
Yeah.
Are you saying that because he's not Cena?
No, I'm not. I think he legitimately signed a part-time gig, didn't he not? Did I not hear that? Wasn't there rumblings about that?
I didn't hear that. I know that he was not going to be used as much going forward, but I didn't hear it as being part of a new deal he signed.
But I'm not saying anything about him and Cena. I don't know. I don't get the comparison.
Well, Cena was there every week. He was your fighting champion.
Right.
But that was Cena. Cena was also a babyface. Roman's a heel. No matter how much the fans cheer him or acknowledge him, in character, Roman's a heel. The heel champion doesn't need to be there and show up every single week.
Why?
And when he does show
there a
up,
set
it
rule
makes it
that I
that much.
missed?
It makes it that much more impactful when he does show up.
Does it though?
Yeah. Look at the ratings.
They were low on Raw because he wasn't there.
Well, Raw's been low forever. But if you look at SmackDown, the ratings when Roman's on, way higher than when he's not on.
But he wasn't there last week.
Yeah, and the ratings were bad. But I guarantee you he's on this Friday, the ratings will be higher. And it'll be the best part of the show.
But it's not even him though. I just wish he would defend it or do something with it or have a storyline. What storyline does he have right now with anybody besides the ones we're making up for him?
They just came out of War Games.
And
you need to establish a challenger for him for Royal Rumble.
And
I think they're going in the direction of Kevin Owens for him at Royal Rumble. So there's your storyline.
So, and he's already beat him.
Right. So just because you beat somebody once doesn't mean that they can't challenge you again?
The saying, we're talking about believability and like Lance Archer treatment. I'm supposed to believe Kevin
Owens is nowhere near the lack of credibility as what Lance Archer has.
But it's the same principle. I'm supposed to believe that Kevin Owens is going to beat Roman Reigns a second time around, knowing he's beaten everybody else.
I mean, the Bills lost to the Cowboys in back-to-back Super Bowls and made it to 4
That's
straight.
football.
You thought, but you tuned in and watched the
football.
game. But you tuned in and watched the game because you thought, hey, the Bills got a chance to win a Super Bowl this year.
Football is more unpredictable. Every week, you never know who's going to win or what's going to happen.
And wrestling's supposed to be the same way. We've just had the curtain pulled back so much because we've been through the kayfabe dead is era that we just automatically go, oh, this isn't going to happen. But can they tell a story to where I'll believe Kevin Owens is going to beat Roman Reigns at Royal Rumble if they go that way? Absolutely.
You can.
Will Kevin Owens make me believe? Yeah, because he's that good of a performer.
I was trying to think of something between MJF and Ricky Starks, but now I can't.
I can't go off of one promo from Ricky Starks getting the one up on MJF on the microphone that's just going to automatically make me believe that Starks is going to win tomorrow night. I'm still gonna watch. I'm not gonna hate watch it. I'm gonna watch because I want to see the match. I just wish they wouldn't have hot shot it over a 1 week period on regular TV, leaving money on the table. But that's me looking at it from a different perspective than what you are. You're like, give me the match. I want to watch the match.
Yeah.
It's going to be great. And that's fine. That Baskin Robbins, 31 flavors. You have your flavors of ice cream that you like. They may be different than mine, but I can still go to Baskin Robbins and get ice cream. I'm still going to watch AEW. I just watch it for different reasons than you watch it. Am I going to enjoy the match? Absolutely. Do I wish that they wouldn't have done the match 1 week later? Yeah. But that's just because of the flavor of ice cream that I like.
Are you a mint chocolate chip guy?
I am.
Okay, me too. At least
My
we can
daughter's
agree on
favorite.
that.
It's my daughter's favorite. I can't keep it in the house fast enough. She eats like a half gallon a week. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's so good. It's one of my favorites. So at least we can agree on that.
That'll get some bashing in the comments because mint chocolate chip's not a popular flavor.
Everybody thinks it tastes like toothpaste, and I don't get it. Tastes really good to me. I don't want to eat toothpaste. It's got chocolate chips in it. See, we already got it.
Yeah, I saw.
Okay. One last thing before we go. I don't know what time it is over there, but we've been going at it for an hour and
it's 9:30. We've been carrying, almost an episode of Dynamite here.
Oh, so it's been pretty good too.
Yeah,
Awesome.
well, this was booked better than Wednesday night.
Oh, fuck. Well, I got better ratings this Tuesday than Monday Night Raw.
That's good.
Fucking speaking of which, what are your thoughts on that? I want to get your opinion on Raw getting their lowest rankings. I also want to get your opinion since you're the only one that I know that watches Impact. How do you feel about them reaching 100,000 too?
So Raw, last night. So Monday nights during football season, I'm not watching Raw for 3 hours. I'll flip back and forth between the football game or whatever. Last night's football game, I had no interest in watching, just because who was playing. So I watched more of Raw than what I typically do on a Monday night during football season.
Yeah.
I thought you had three bright spots on the show for me last night. Kevin Owens backstage with Elias was hilarious and everything that I love about pro wrestling. It was just tremendous stuff. Rhea Ripley continues to be just on this arc of stardom, and I hope she's booked to face Bianca at Mania after she wins the Rumble. Spoiler alert, that's my prediction. A month out. I said it Saturday on our show. I'll say it here tonight. And then the Bobby firing at the end of Raw gave you a cliffhanger that I'm at least interested in. Other than that, it was a complete skip dud of a show. Were matches good? Was there some wrestling that was good? Yeah. But, I mean, that's every week on Raw. The 3 hours kills them. We've known that for the longest time. But they're never going to change because there's too much money in it. I do think what Triple H is missing on right now, especially with Raw, because he has that 3 hour time slot. No, hell no. You hear him wanting to make a comeback? That's
no chance.
Not with the additional allegations that are out there.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, there's more of those. But I think Hunter's biggest dilemma is that it's twofold. One, all the people that he's brought back haven't been hits.
I agree.
And two, certain segments, because it's on Raw, go on way too long. and they need to end them way faster. Like the Loomis Gargano Miz stuff last night, that was way too long and caused me to turn the channel. So you get a couple of those sprinkled in every single week, people are going to turn their TV off.
I don't even know what Johnny Gargano is at this point.
But here's the thing with ratings. This time of year, I don't pay attention to ratings because it's the holiday season and ratings always tank during the holiday season. You have people getting together with family, traveling, everything else. Like, they're not sitting down and watching wrestling. And the ones that tune in every single week are your diehard fan base that are going to do it no matter what. So, like,
but if that were the case, then what's up with Impact?
Impact for me right now, it's one of my favorite shows of the week, consistently.
Wow.
The storytelling's been great. The matchups and feuds have been great. The talent on the roster, given the size of it, they have a really good roster. My problem with Impact is that, you know, it's the same thing I've said before. It's they're not having access to be able to just tune in and watch every single week.
Mm-hmm.
Do I catch it live sometimes? Yeah, but most of the time I'm rewatching it the next day, or Friday night on certain sites that will upload the episodes that you can catch them on, and getting it that way. But roster for roster, wrestler for wrestler, and what they do with their roster, it's just as good as the major players. But they have the stain on them because they're TNA LOL Impact.
TNA LOL Impact? Let's see. Impact murders have been great. And Triple H should bring in Oldberg. Okay. Listen, if you guys aren't going to be serious in chat, I'm going to time you out.
But no, I like the Bully Ray Josh Alexander story has been fantastic. And it's the right way to use a quote unquote old timer or legend, which Bully Ray is. We can, if you want to debate that, you can, but you'll lose that argument. And it's been fantastic. Everything that they've done has been great with it.
100,000 in viewership.
They're never gonna get up to 500,000, 600,000, 700,000. It's just not gonna happen because people have their minds made up on them, and they're never gonna change. It goes back to your point. It goes back to your point with the tribalism. I watch Impact. That doesn't make me hate WWE or AEW. I watch AEW. I'm not going to not watch WWE and vice versa. Like,
right.
I watch wrestling because I love pro wrestling, and there's more than enough great pro wrestling on nowadays that I can watch it in various forms and formats, get my fix, and enjoy it. Impact for me has done that. I've really enjoyed what they've done.
For example, you going to watch MLW?
MLW for me has been a big miss since they've come back.
Or NWA?
No, I'm completely out on
Tyrus
NWA.
is champion. No?
Nope,
okay.
Can't do it. NWA for me, they fell off, and it wasn't their fault. It was the pandemic that killed them for me. Because your biggest names that you had, and NWA did a great job of being an alternative where it was that 80s Saturday night 605 studio by build. It was built on promos. You get a match here and there. It was an hour long, super great watch, compelling television, great characters. Well, some of those big time names and people that were talking you into watching the NWA, they left. And once Billy took over from all this, he's not a good booker of pro wrestling. And Nick said it himself whenever he sat down with Sam Roberts. He said, listen, the vision changed. He took it over and ran it, and I don't agree with it, so I'm leaving.
Oh, definitely.
And you lose the number one guy that's most synonymous with your brand for those reasons. That's not a bit, it's legit reasons. It's not me, a contract dispute or not getting my money or whatever. Like, hey, creatively, I don't vibe with what you're putting out right now, so I'm gonna leave and go somewhere where I can do what I want to do. I can't fault you for that. But knowing what all this put into the NWA and how hard he worked to get them back to being a recognizable and respected brand for him to leave, that tells me there's something else that's going on and not going to be a product that I'm going to want to watch. And then what was the last thing? Raw and the Impact. What else? Or was that it?
I think that was it. I just wanted to get your opinions on that. Yeah, I can't wait for you never heard of Aldi's?
Aldi's, like the grocery chain Aldi's?
Yeah.
We got them there.
I was gonna say, like, I can't wait for all these nuts.
I know. I thought that's where you were going with it, but and I was gonna
you got anything you want to plug?
I was gonna ruin the punchline, but I figured I'd let you get that joke off. So
yeah, well, it's kind of a low hanging fruit there.
Well, MJF is notorious for that. So, but no, I'll do a cheap plug here. First off, thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Of course.
Love the invite. Love the debate. Good conversation. See, we can respectfully disagree and have good conversation and talk about stuff without just completely going insane on each other. Which
I took my glasses off, but
the internet wrestling community doesn't know how to do that, which kind of turns me off. But no, as always, you can find us at Dunmarks Pod on all social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok. Tune in live every single Saturday at 11 a.m. for your favorite Saturday brunch punch. Best 4-man booth in the business. Cover everything from pro wrestling, drink of the week, sports, one gotta go, movies, TV, entertainment, you name it, we talk about it. And head on over to ProWrestlingTees.com /Dunmarks Pod. Pick up some merch, give you a live shout out on air. And again, thank you for having me. It was a great time. I enjoyed it. As always, my opinion may be different from yours, but I can respect it. And I'll stop bashing Chicago so much.
Thank you.
Just take that t-shirt off.
I never bashed Pittsburgh.
Just take that t-shirt off and we're good.
Nope, not doing it. All right. Guys, go ahead and please give Steve and the rest of the Dunmarks a follow and subscribe to them. I put their link tree in the description, and they do some great stuff there. They do a lot of debate this, and they talk a lot of wrestling, sports. It's more than just wrestling. And they give you a quote of the day, and I tune in almost every Saturday, and it's some good shit. So go ahead and check them out. But on that note, ladies and gentlemen, we are out of here. Please have a good night. If NXT's still on, I don't know. But enjoy the rest of NXT. I'll catch you guys on the next one. See ya.